joining us for the 9th day of 12 Days of Turner.
With Peyton Bailey, AKA Miss Drums, and with the purpose of interviewing the folks who are connected to 12 Days of Turner and to the theater that is being rehabbed and all the other projects that are part of what we do with Juneteenth DA. Let's start off with that, actually, that question there. What do you know about Nat Turner? We grew up here.
Right.
And so what's your sense of Nat Turner, madman or hero?
He was a hero. He was a revolutionary. You know, a lot of people were, I'm sure, scared and oppressed, obviously, with slaves, but he wasn't afraid, so he definitely was a hero in my eyes.
Would it surprise you how many people say that he was a madman and that he was a murderer?
That doesn't surprise me at all, because, I mean, he did murder people, but, I mean, it was for a greater cause, so I understand.
So he was more, in your mind, kind of a general leading in a battle, in a war against slavery?
I would say so.
So why do you think that folks think of him as a madman? And I mean, I'm not talking just white folks, black folks too. Why do you think that happens?
It was violent, you know, he slaughtered people. I'm sure kids were killed, babies were killed as well. Isn't that true? So.
Over 60 white men, women, and children died between August 21st when it started and November 11th when he died.
Mm-hmm.
Over 300 black men, women, and children also died in that same time frame.
Right. I mean, when you speak of the atrocities of slavery in itself, I feel like he was probably doing what he felt he needed to do.
Okay, yeah, it's been interesting to me how the answers have been black or white, no pun intended, you know, and no middle ground really. But these are interesting times that we're living in, so I think the timing of this first 12 Days of Turner has been really important. What are your thoughts in terms of where we are now politically with the election and everything?
I'm happy about it,
Mm-hmm.
personally.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a time of celebration, it's a historical moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to see what happens. I know there's some very unhappy people out there, but can't worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just happy to move forward. We have a first woman vice president, woman of color, and we'll see what happens.
She's got a little bit of everything in her, doesn't she?
Yes, she does.
She's got East Asian and
Jamaican, all of that,
you know. Went to Howard University,
right.
You know.
It's
It's an amazing thing how it makes you feel as a black woman, you know, to have suddenly, a woman who looks like you in office, you know. So tell me what it is that you do in terms of, making your way through the world.
Okay, well, I'm a musician by day and night. I specialize in the steel drums. I'm actually a percussionist overall, so I was just telling Jimmy. So I started with the African drums, djembes and whatnot, but steel pan is actually what I do most of the time as far as gigs. I specialize in weddings, birthday parties, restaurants, and whatnot. And currently, I'm actually teaching classes to kids and adults on Mondays and Thursdays. So I'll have more information about that. If you would like to contact me, Instagram and Facebook is Miss Drums. That's ms.drums with a Z, D-R-U-M-Z. And that's pretty much it. So just basically trying to just educate people through music and give people something to do. You know, kids aren't in school right now because of the virus, and people are looking for activities. So, and that's what I like to add to the community.
Yeah.
And you get all the training.
Mm-hmm.
You get all the training from music theory to learning basic songs. And people will actually be pretty impressed with themselves to find out that you can learn a song in one class, you know. So a lot of people think that they have to have musical experience. You don't have to have any. I'll teach you everything you need to know. The notes are written down inside the pan. So it's welcome. Everyone's welcome to come and be a part of that.
That sounds wonderful. And so the age limit for the class?
Right now I'm looking at 10 and up, right? So I would say late elementary school all the way up.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the fact that younger kids may have a harder time as far as height and whatnot. So, but 10 and up.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the spirit of Nat Turner, can you talk a little bit about the history of the steel pan, how that came about?
Long story short, the steel drum actually comes from the island of Trinidad and Tobago. That's their national instrument. Originally, they were colonized by Britain, and they used to have tambu bamboo bands, which are basically with the bamboo sticks they used to play, and they would compete against each other, and they would have like these big, festivals when they compete. Unfortunately, those bands, they ended up having like a lot of violence. They used to kind of like be gangs and be like rivals. So the government decided to outlaw that. So eventually they came up with these iron bands where they would just hit on the iron. And eventually, those big oil drums?
Mm-hmm.
That's where the steel drum actually comes from. So they learned that after like welding and like kind of melding it together and burning it certain ways, that different notes would come out. So you have different pioneers in the steel drum industry like Ellie Manette and Winston Simon Spree, who are very instrumental into making the steel pan the instrument that it is today.
The reason I link it to Nat Turner, because it was kind of oppressed and suppressed in terms of like the music
It
initially.
was. Yeah,
Right.
it was, but they figured out a way to, still
Right.
get the music out.
Right. And my belief, and this is just Sherry talking, that using music and theater arts is one of the best ways to fuse oppression and suppression and all of those kind of negatives, because what happens is that the music or the poetry kind of makes people less defensive and puts them in a more kind of open-minded situation, and that's ultimately what we need. Like right now, the country is divided, and I think what we need to do is have you go out on tour with your drums and just kind of pull up in neighborhoods and start playing. Let people just kind of
It definitely
chill
brings
out.
people together. Like, people tell me that all the time. Like,
Mhm.
even because I work for Carnival Cruise Lines as a performer as well. And people just tell me how, like, it relaxed them
Right.
the whole vacation, made their vacation. And even when I'm performing here, people, because they can hear it from down the street, around the corner.
Right.
And it just draws them in. And they
Mhm.
tell me, like,
And
just
they're
put them in a great
dancing
mood.
and
Yeah,
relaxing and,
exactly. So that's the
so-
power of music and, well, arts in general.
Right,
Yeah, to
right,
me.
right, I agree with you. And that's, again, why, we're doing the 12 Days of Turner, and wanting, again, to be able to help people look at this difficult history in ways that help them heal. Our mission at Juneteenth VA is to heal America from the wounds of slavery without shame or blame. I want to thank Peyton Bailey and Miss Drums, AKA Miss Drums, for being here today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you
And
for
thank you
having
for the work that you do.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Greetings. I'm here today with Quan, and wanting to just kind of have you get to know the folks who are involved with 12 Days of Turner. What was your, well, let me let you introduce yourself. What's your name and where you're from?
I'm Quan Davis, Portsmouth, Virginia. I've been here 25 years. That's my life. And, I love it.
You like Portsmouth, huh? We get a hard way to go, don't we?
Do.
And now it's not right, but that's the way it is. And so what do you think we can do about it?
Communities just got to get hooked up, live along, like, city, mayor, just, I don't know, they got to get things, back in control.
Right.
Because it's a mess right now.
Did you vote? What did you know about Nat Turner? What did you hear about Nat Turner growing up? Did you hear anything at all?
No, they didn't teach it to us. Well, I had to learn about it outside of school. Hearing it about like my mom or something like that.
Right.
What you would hear though, it would just be like, oh, they escaped slaves and then they went on a massacre. That's all you hear. They do have to understand that's a call for war. That's a call for like something has to be done. Like, they have one option. There's only one way to take it. It's deeper than the way they make it.
It's deeper than just saying he was a madman.
Yeah. He's an
But
intelligent man.
yeah, he was very intelligent. And after the insurrection, that's why they doubled down on the law about not teaching blacks to read or write. And that's where that came through.
Very good.
Yeah, because an educated Negro was not going to be easily, enslaved, you
Yeah.
know? So we're still in that fight to be able to, you know, have access to the American dream, you know? So, so what is it that you do in terms of your, you know, your work that keeps you in the mix in terms of like trying to solve these issues?
Well, I do music. I'm an actor. You know, I do poetry. There's it's really more to try to put the message out there that with emotion, so we can really feel that. And it'll, in return, I know it will spread. Like things like that spread. It always will. And to bring awareness to more and more people, like you make that a worldwide thing. Because it is a worldwide thing.
It is.
It's a problem for us everywhere.
Yeah, right.
My dream for real is to be able to make it happen for ourselves, strong communities, so we can build off of that. We can have our own, you know, work towards our children's children's children.
Oh my, I like how you're looking down the road there.
Yes.
Because it's not about just the moment here. Just like we're looking back at the past, they're gonna look back at us and, you know, wonder what we knew, what did we do about it, and, you know, how, you know, what did we leave as a legacy.
That's what it is, the legacy.
I appreciate your time.
No problem.
And look for, so you said acting too, so you know that means, you know what that means, right?
Yeah. I'm with y'all.
All right. In fact, I'm looking at you right now for like something that we get started with real soon. So, you know, it's a pleasure to meet you, and thank you much for being here. Thank you. All right. We're here today with Chris, and wanted to document and just kind of get a little bit of information about the folks who are coming through as we do the 12 Days of Turner. And thank you for watching with us today. Chris, thank you for your time.
Of course.
And so what brings you here in terms of how did you get here today?
Jimmy, you told me about what was going on, and I was interested. Always been interested in like projects with involving music and acting and all that. That's what
Spoken word, man.
Okay, so you do,
I do pretty much right there. I do music, I'm an actor.
It's going to be at the radio station that we're at.
okay.
Interest in some photography and photography.
A lot of artists in this area just kind of ask us some
Okay. How did you get interested in that?
Since I was a kid,
Since you were a-
yeah, like I just been
spoken word band.
music,
That's where we
movies,
from
TV, all that. That's all
I mean, fire.
So growing up in this area, what did you know about Nat Turner?
Like I said, didn't really know that much. Like I said, my family told me a little bit about him. They didn't teach it that much at school. I remember, like, I heard about it sometime in middle school, and I asked, and one of my teachers referred to him as like the male version of Harriet Tubman, just more. So
Interesting.
I was like, okay, I see that. And when I read up about him, he was a pretty much liberating person.
Yeah.
He did what he did for a reason. And even watching the little snippet, hearing the lady say how my neck trying to kill my parents, it made me think. It was like, I don't understand why you feel the way you do because it was your parents. But have you ever taken the time to stop and think? Not saying that anyone deserves to die, but in that time, the slaves were, you know, slaves, and black people were treated less than nothing.
Right.
So to be liberated by someone that looks like me, that's just it means a lot. And no one, especially black people back then, they didn't do anything without purpose.
Right.
So it was always a purpose. And when people, especially black people nowadays, don't want to realize what you take,
I had to think about it the last few days.
that part of history. So it's not, we're not trying to just point fingers at you, we're just trying to like take accountability. So like, because like black people take accountability for some things that we do too. It's just like, we don't work until we all like just be open and honest.
Yeah, Wise words coming from a young person here, and worried that we're not giving enough to your generation to be able to, people, we got decimated by, the crack cocaine decades. I mean, so we have a whole generation of children brought up by, grandparents because their parents were out of action. And the suppression and oppression that black folks in America have dealt with, much of it is really subtle and unseen. So we're constantly kind of like, like redlining or something like that. And, and we're not understanding that there's a system that's doing it, but we think each other has kind of fallen down on the job, kind of thing like that. And that kind of has, made our kind of our collective self-esteem, I think, a really hard, situation. And so what you're doing in terms of, the music and the art and the activism is really important. So I'm grateful to you for the work that you do.
Of course. It's like our generation is like, expect anyone born before the 90s, and I feel like we're like the last of the gap that's between last century and this century. So we literally lived through so much. Y2K, 9/11, so many plagues, a black president, a female vice president, and it's just so much that has happened and that will happen. So it's pretty much up to us and everybody else that's still here to do the best we can with like just showing our own way, because it's a bigger picture, and since the bigger picture is big, this should be no space for everyone's at least certain perspective.
But it's definitely got to take commitment and focus, and I see that coming from you and your colleagues here, and that just warms my heart. So thank you much, and I appreciate your time, and I look forward to future projects. We are here today with Mr. Zachary Robinson, and wanting to interview and talk to all the folks who are involved with the rehabbing of the Colony Theater, which will be the home for the Portsmouth Theater Academy. And Zachary is an architect, and I'm going to actually let him tell about himself and how he became involved with the project and what the project is really, because it kind of seems to be, growing bigger and bigger every day. And Zachary was tasked with the job of developing floor plans for the building, which is about 14,000 square feet.
In the area.
Right.
So-
Bevcell?
Yep.
Okay, yes.
I didn't know if that was confidential or not.
No. Bev is a good public person, an activist who many might know her from. She had the farm market over in Malta for many years.
Exactly. So I first met her when I moved here, and I was looking for something healthy to eat, some good options that weren't too expensive. But she reached out to me, I guess it's been 6 months now.
Okay.
Possibly 6 or 8 months now that she
Okay.
reached out to tell me about what you were doing, and she said that she's in touch with somebody locally that has this great idea for a theater, and they're trying to bring it up to code. So just reaching out to you and seeing if you have any opportunity to help them out. So I did at the time, so I reached out to you, and that's when I learned about all that you wanted to do at the theater. I learned the full extent of what needed to be up to date
Okay.
with the theater. So if you don't know, the theater was built in 1900.
Mm-hmm.
and-
Making it 120 years old.
Yep.
That's good to know a little bit more also about WPA in terms of like how did that come about?
So WPA is the firm that I work for. It's a firm of 12 people, I believe now. And they have always been heavily involved in doing pro bono work. So every year they pick a couple projects. This past year they already had a pro bono project. So another thing that they're very involved in doing is developing leadership. So although I do work for them, they encourage me to do things that will help me develop as a leader. So when I told them about this project, I brought it to their attention because it might have taken from my overall time. So just being transparent, they fully supported it. They've given me advice if I had questions. But yeah, so that's the firm that I work for. We're over in Norfolk.
You know, again, getting into that theater is gonna be, you know, I think, just a giant step forward in terms of being able to have people who are out there, you know, doing the research. I mean, we can actually go and map out the Underground Railroad routes that were, you know, here because they're here. This was a major stop on the Underground Railroad because of the Dismal Swamp and, you know, the waterways,
Yep.
you know. So I guess all of this, Zachary, is like, what do you think in terms of timing, in terms of getting the theater open and ready? When are we going to be able to get in there?
That's a great question. I can't give you an answer on timing,
I
but
knew
as soon
that.
as possible. As soon as possible.
What a really, are you going to run for office one
I
day?
should.
That was a really political, but perfect answer
Yeah.
there.
Well, I mean, I really do want it to be open soon because, like, your experience is interactive for people, and I think that is very empowering. It's one thing to watch it happen, and then you'll feel like the lady did on the video where she's watching something and she has no control over it, whereas you can be a part of it and actually step in someone else's shoes. So
Yeah.
I guess that's the main reason why I was really excited to keep going with it, with the project. After hearing about all that you wanted to do, I just know it's going to be great.
That Zach is donating his time and his talents to the project of rehabbing the building. And, I mean, already, you know, with just the drawing of the floor plans, he has made a major commitment to the success and future of what we're trying to get done. And I really want people to appreciate that because it is a lot of work and it is a great sacrifice that's being made in terms of this. And he is among, you know, several folks who have decided that what we're trying to do is worth that effort and worth that sacrifice. And, you know, that needs to be recognized, and I thank you very much.
Yeah, kind of representing the Young Architects Forum.
Okay.
And so that's how we were able to bring in some other people that, engineers, Ashley Montgomery, she's like the project manager. So she's through YAF as well. We also have several other architects that have been helping. So it's really a community. They take a lot of the weight off of me. I think I was just the first person to make that connection from my group to yours. But you know, thank you for saying that. But
Oh,
it's,
absolutely,
it's
absolutely.
definitely paid for.
I mean, that's your birthday gift to, like, you know, be able to do something that's going to give to others. That's really admirable, and I'm really honored to, like, to know you.
Yeah, I would love to list you guys as my first clients. That would be all right. It technically was before the business started. But
We would be honored.
appreciate
Definitely,
that.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'm going to let you go now, but thank you much for your time.
thank you.
And